Hi, if you are watching on Instagram, log on to YouTube. Oh, I forgot to put the notes here. We're logging in on YouTube. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for the fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit educational or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair. All topics are for entertainment purposes only. None of the information presented in this video or by VGIRLTV should be taken as fact. Every situation is based on personal experience. Sorry, let me unmute that. Hello, V Squad. Welcome back to another episode of VGIRLTV. If you are tuning in on Instagram, welcome. This topic is going to be a very good topic. You guys have been waiting for this for a very long time. If you are tuned in on Facebook, in order to comment, you have to be on YouTube because we won't be able to see the comments. So if you are on Facebook and you want to comment, come on to YouTube, search VGIRLTV and join the live discussion. If you are on Twitter as well, because we are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, the only place that we can comment, we can see your comments right now is literally on YouTube. So make your way down on YouTube, make your way down to YouTube. So guys, I'm super excited to have this guest on our platform today. I know lots of you have been waiting for this since, 3-4 weeks ago. The topic of this live is called His Story, the Black Man in Panama, right? So I have Nibby here. He is an Afro-Panamanian. He is from Panama. He grew up in Panama. He lived in Panama. He works in Panama. He is a native Panamanian here. And I am pleased to have him on the channel. So welcome, Nibby, to the podcast and the channel. Okay. Welcome. And I'm so happy to have you here. So thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule because I know that you were working. And so I'm going to shout you out. So, guys, make sure you have your questions ready for Nibby. We're gonna start off. There's people still entering. If you are not able to see the live, or you for whatever reason you're at work, this live will actually be saved, so you guys are gonna be able to go back on and see it later on. Okay. So, Nibby, tell us about yourself. Where are you from? How long obviously you've been in Panama all your life. Where are you from? Where is your family from? And let's start there.
All right. Thank you so much for the invitation. I really appreciate it. Anytime I like this kind of topics, and share with my people all different experiences. So my name is Aníbal Abdiel Rodriguez Renteria. I'm Panamanian. I'm 42 years old. I live in San Miguelito. I have 4 kids. I work. I have a. I'm an English teacher actually, but I'm not working as a teacher at this time. So my great grandmother on my mother's side was from a region called Chocó in Colombia. It's,
Mm.
yes, in the Pacific. And my great grandfather was Panamanian from Darien, which is the province that is right next to Colombia. My grandmother is Panamanian also, as I just mentioned, and my grandfather was Colombian. Now, from my father's side, my grandfather was Colombian as well, and my grandmother was from the west of the country. My mother is Panamanian from Cologne, and my father is Panamanian from the city. So in my background, so there are a lot of Colombians.
They say that Choco in Colombia is where a lot of black people reside. Like that's like the coast. Is that true?
Yes, that's correct. That, but you can find black people everywhere in Colombia, but mostly in the Pacific side and also in the Caribbean. If you go to Cartagena in the Caribbean, there would be a lot of black people actually in
Now, if
Cartagena.
you read history, you know that the people from Cartagena, a lot of those people are direct descendants from Africa. They're direct descendants from African people. Hold on.
That,
Excuse me.
yeah, that's right. That's actually correct because actually the people who they enslaved from Africa, they brought it from the Yoruba coast. So Cartagena was one of the biggest port. They call it Negreros port, and actually in the continent. So most they brought most of the people to Cartagena, and they spread it all around the continent.
That's really good information because a lot of people don't know that. I know people visit Colombia all the time, and not really the people who visit Colombia because people are aware of Cartagena. I think in the media when they see Colombia, you don't really see black people when they talk about Colombia unless you're talking about Cartagena, but for the most part when people go visit, you don't really see that.
Exactly. What happened is like it's the same thing that here in Panama. I think because actually the black people in Panama live everywhere, but when they see you, they think that you're from Colón, you're from Bocas, or because well, a lot of people, black people live there, but we live everywhere. The same thing happened in Colombia. They whenever they see a black people in Bogota, they ask you if you're from Chocó or you from Cartagena. They actually from Bogota.
So I know the last time when I had spoken to Jen, she had told me a story about your experience with police in Panama being a black man. And before we get into that, I want to say what what made you have dreadlocks? Because years ago, first of all, if you ever seen him in person, his dreads are really, really, really long, like really long. So that means that he had to been growing dreads for a very long time in order for him to have that length of dreadlocks. And people are now starting to want to have dreads. They even put in fake dreads in their hair. But you've been doing this from before. So what made you decide to have dreads, first of all?
Well, that's a very, very good questions that you just made right there because every single thing is for a reason, you know. And when I was a teenager, right, I used to go ahead and play soccer everywhere, every time with my family, with my friends. So I didn't have dreadlocks. I was bald head, basically, right? And wherever I go, if you're in the bus station, always the police went straight to us and picked us from the bus station. Only the the black people actually. If they,
How
in the,
long ago was this?
well, that's what when I put it to already. That was in 1996, most likely.
Okay.
When I was 16, actually 17. They picked me up from wherever I was doing nothing. Sometimes I was in the store buying food, and they pass around and they stop me and tell you, "Hey, what you doing?" I say, "I'm buying my breakfast and stuff." And they like, "Hey, where's the drug or where's the gun?" I'm like, "What gun? What are you talking about?" And they start like looking for things that I didn't have, and when they didn't find nothing, anyway, they send me to the police station for 10 or 13 hours without food, with mosquitoes, with a lot of things there that I shouldn't be living because I didn't do anything. So what happened is that a lot of people, when they talk to me and I tell them my experience, they say like, "Hey, you know what? That happened because of your dreadlocks." And I say, "No, sir. When I was 16, I didn't have no dreadlocks. Some people say, no, that's because you using baggy pants or you using sneakers. I'm like, no, sir, I didn't use this clothes before. I was dressed to impress whenever I was going to looking for a job or whatever. And the same thing what happened to me. So I realized that it what happened to me not because how I was, I mean, actually dressing or what I have in my hair. It was because I'm black. So when I realized that, I said, you know what? I'm gonna be who I wanna be. It doesn't matter what happened to me because anyway, at the end of the day, I'm black. I born black, and I will die black. So
Right.
that's why I decided to. At the end, at the beginning, I have an afro for 7 years, and then I started my dreadlock journey actually like 17 or 18 years ago. So I have 22 years without cutting my hair.
But did you do it for religious reasons or you just did it because you just for
Yeah,
fashion?
it started actually no, it wasn't for fashion because at the beginning I have like a big afro like Ludacris or something like that for 7 years, and then I started my dreadlocks journey. I started listening to some reggae music and I started reading certain stuff, and I get related with the Rastafari culture, and I learned certain things, and I realized that actually I didn't change anything. I was the same person that I'm right now. So I realized that I was always part of this community, even though I didn't have dreadlocks.
Interesting. That's really good to hear and good to know. But around that time, people used to look down on dreadlocks. So how did you deal with adversities like people judging you because of dreads? You know how it's in Cologne it's a little bit different. But in the city, like I find people to be a little bit more judgmental. Like they like to negrea mucho. Like they always like, esa chomba, ese chombo, or like, oh, yo no quiero ese cabello duro. Like they always have something negative to say about either your black hair or your black. It's like always something. So what made you not decide to like listen to those people? Because I'm sure people made comments about your hair,
Sure,
right?
definitely,
How do
definitely.
you how did you deal with that? Like how do you deal with that with people making judgments about you and who you are because of your hair?
Okay. What happened is like I really don't care if people judge me. Why? Because people always will find something to say. If you have dreadlocks or not, they will find something to say against you or whatever. So we need to live our life the way we want to live it, know how people want you to live the life because at the end of the day, it's your life.
Exactly.
So I don't really care. Like even though I mean, imagine here in Panama, how many teachers have locks?
I haven't seen any. You're the first person.
What happens? So when you say you are the teacher, everybody is amazed because you are the teacher. So to be a teacher, do you have to be bald, fat, using glasses? So
Right.
that doesn't have to do anything with that. But what happens is that people stereotype everywhere you go. So it's not my duty to teach them that I'm not that person that they thinking I am, but by my acts for the things that I'm doing is gonna be the best thing to show that they run. That's the best way to prove that they run.
Do you feel that because of your dreadlocks and because of the color of your skin, do you feel like it held you back with getting jobs?
Well, actually, at the beginning, it was kind of different. Time has changed. I need to be honest, right? From 1996, we are already in 2022. Things have changed a lot. Before, we didn't have any kind of institutions in Panama to fight for your right like we have right now. So that's something positive for all Afro-Panamanians because now we know what to do or where to go. Now the police is not taking you directly to the police station for 10 or 13 hours. There, they just have like a new device that when they just swipe your ID and they immediately they will tell you that if you have something or not. So it's not necessary for them to take you there for 10 or 13 hours. So
One thing that what I found very interesting is that you said that they took you down when you were 16 years old. At 16, you're still a minor. So the fact that they took a 16-year-old child down to the what they would call in the States is like bookings, central bookings. Here it's like a holding place, like a holding jail. Did they call your parents or anything, or they just kept you in there and didn't let your parents know anything?
Yes, they call your parents, and then your parents have to, when you're minor, they have to go there and pick you up.
Oh, okay. Liz Z says locks hold a stigma in some societies, even in Jamaica. Even in Jamaica, over time, folks start to get it. I am says las personas inseguras son intimidadas por tu seguridad y autoestimas. Liz Z says I was locked for over 10 years. I loved them, but for me it was time for a change. That's the beauty of our crown. We can switch it up. Yes, exactly. Do you think that you would ever cut your locks?
Well, if you ask me that, well, I don't even know, but I'm not thinking about it. At least I got a job. I will keep my locks. So I already found out how to keep my locks and how to get money, even though I have locks.
Right. Do you feel like times have changed since back then as far as racism in Panama regarding Afro-Panamanians?
Well, racism, I mean, I don't think that have changed a lot. The only thing that changed a little bit is the fact that the police not does not take they don't take you directly to the police station because they have another the device and those little things. But racism itself hasn't changed that much because whenever I go to the metro station, a lot of people is just walking through to whatever they have to do or wherever they go. But I'm the one pull over or point out to ask for ID and stuff. You know, I'm the one. Everybody is passing through, but I'm the one that always have to be there to do whatever for them in order to just find out if I owe something to the law or if I'm a criminal or whatever. They still stereotype a lot.
Do
So
you think it's because of the color of your skin, or do you think it's because you just look different?
first of all, is the color of my skin,
Okay.
and my looks is a plus. All right. So that's why I thought that you know what, if you're gonna discriminate me, all right, do it, and I'm gonna look however I'm gonna look like because that is not gonna change anything. People still discriminate you, and people say that that doesn't exist, but they don't live the life you live. They don't go to the situation that you're going through every single day because they don't look like you. But that's
Yes,
it.
and that gets me on my nerves because I spoke about this before. I don't know if you know the story of what happened with the Little Mermaid and that how she's black. They put a black woman as a Little Mermaid, and the comment sections in the blog, it was actually Dia Dia. They posted. Let me see if I can find it. Cause I definitely was just like, this is crazy. Cause I couldn't find it the last time, but I found it before. And the comments, and this is coming from Panamanian people. And the thing is, what I don't think that people from Panama realize is that if you leave Panama and you go outside of Panama, they're gonna treat you just like a regular black person. It doesn't matter if you chomba blanca or if you trigueño or if you're going to get treated like a minority when you leave Panama. So the comments, they were saying that people, this is called forced racism, that it's not racism, that we are trying to force this on them. It was like a whole bunch of stuff that they were saying. Let me read some of these comments. Lex Herson says, do most black men still together? I think they mean stick together in Panama as in, are they united? I'm moving there soon as a pensionado. So that question is for you.
Okay. What's the question again? Oh, is it one and is it okay?
Uh-huh. He's asking if black men stick together. Are they united in Panama?
Well, actually, that's a very good question. Why? Because it's ugly to say that black people most of the time we are not that united as we have to be actually in order to move forward. Okay, we are united. There are certain associations, okay, that they are very united, okay, in order to reach their goal or their achievement. But individually, I cannot tell you that we are then united.
It's not only in Panama, it's everywhere. I
Yeah.
think black people, we as black people, we have a crab in a barrel mentality, and that goes into slavery. When they try to do conquer and divide, they try to conquer us and divide us into sections so that we will always be loyal to the master. So they put these things into us, whether if we're a lighter slave, if you're light skinned, then you get to work inside the house. The dark skinned slaves they have to work in the back, and they're doing the hard work, which makes us black people have complexes within ourselves where we feel if I'm a lighter black person, then I'm better than someone else that's darker. And they also have this mentality like, okay, well, if I see this black person getting ahead, instead of me supporting that black person, I'm actually going to bring that black person back down to my level because I don't want them to succeed. So I don't think that's a Panama thing. I think that's
Yeah,
something
that's global.
that's an issue that's like all over. Amazing Oski asks, Nibby, have you ever been turned away for your hair or looks? Since in Panama, some business, restaurants, club, etc., have the right to deny your entry into their establishment.
Well, actually, turn away from my locks. Mm, yeah, one time in a job, and you will surprise. I mean, you will not be surprised because you just mentioned that a lot of people think I cannot see like white, but they are house Negroes, right? They are not the field Negroes. They house Negroes, so they against you. No matter what you're saying or whatever you want to tell them about the master, they will be against you because our mentality is different. So we have house Negroes and field Negroes. This guy was a teacher, right? But in my ID, you cannot see my logs, right? He was looking for a teacher, and I sent all my paperwork, all everything that they were asking for. I sent it to WhatsApp. So he said, "Okay, let's meet together. Let's meet up." And he gave me the name of a place in a restaurant. So I went there, and when he realized that I have locks, he started giving like, oh, but so what are you gonna do with how are you gonna do with your locks? What do we have to do with them? He was like, oh no, because you know that people is gonna start talking and this and this and that and that. And then at the end of the day, he didn't give me the job because of my locks. A black guy just like me, but bald.
I know exactly how you feel. Trust me. I mentioned
I'm
this before. What you're saying, I know is 100% true, and I know that does exist because even with me and the business, I get the most disrespect from other black women or other black people than I do from other people that's not black. Unfortunately, and it's sad to say. So like you said, the house Negro and the field Negro. But Dinda Babe says, you are a pioneer because other people admire you and want to lock their hair too and you give confidence to do so. You also prove to school that a locked man can be good, decent, productive, and as a leader. Thank you for your bravery. That's what she's saying to you, Nibby. Thank you for your bravery to be the change.
yeah, you need to. That's the way to teach.
What I think is that in order to really have a real change, and even though you are the first, because I have never seen, you're the first teacher that I've seen in Panama with dreadlocks, and then the other guy that does, but he's not really a teacher. The guy that does like juicing, the vegan guy, I forgot his name. That's the only person that I've seen. And he doesn't work in the school, so that doesn't really count. You're the only person that I've seen as a teacher. I feel like if more people of color, I'm sorry, Afro-Panamanians stood up for certain things within Panama, certain things wouldn't be allowed. For example, telling a child that she cannot go to school with an afro, that's something that should never be because no, I'm not going to say unfortunately, our hair doesn't grow straight, it grows up this way. So for another person to tell your child that you can't have, yes, Aris Lathan, thank you, Jen, that you can't go to school with your hair in an afro because it's a distraction. I think that is ridiculous. And if more people stood up, I have girls that say, oh, like boys that will come to the store, guys that will come to the store, teenagers, and they want to wear their hair with their little afro or a high top or something, and they tell them, oh no, he can't go to school like that because they're gonna send him home. As a teacher, right? Because I don't know, but have they ever put you in a situation where you had to go tell a child they couldn't go to school or they couldn't come to school with their hair worn a certain type of way? And if so, how did you deal with it?
This is how I deal with it. I brought them fire. You know what happened? You know what happened is that we need to know our rights in order to defend ourselves and our kids. If you don't know your rights, that's when the people is gonna abuse from you of you. It doesn't matter where you are. You could be at job, you could be in the school or whatever. But that's not gonna happen. Me knowing the rules, trying to defend my people rights as a black person, to tell a kid that you cannot do it when they have long hair. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I mean, I cannot tell them, hey, you cannot do it, but I can do it because I'm the teacher. No, if that father is really interested in not cutting the hair of his child, I'm going to talk to him personally and I will tell them where to go, how to defend his kid as a black person.
Okay. Well, I don't need it now, but I do remember when Amir was younger, they told me that I had to cut his hair because he couldn't go to school with doble tono. That's what the excuse was. And I was just like, first of all, and this was coming from another the director was a black woman. And I was like, you out of all people should know that this is how I have to cut his hair. I can't do anything else. His hair grows that way. I mean, now that he's older, they haven't bothered me since, but I did experience that as well. For those people who may be watching, because there's some people from Panama that's watching because they're writing in Spanish, if they go through a situation where they're having issues with the school telling them that um, they have to cut their hair, what information do they need? Where do they need to go?
Well, they need to go to Defensoría del Pueblo. There's a discrimination area, explain the case, and they will go directly to the school and talk to them about the laws, the articles in the Panamanian Constitution, talking about I mean, how I forgot the word, that like the rights, the kid rights, and also they will talking about the law number 16 of April 10, 2002. They're talking about discrimination. So there is no in Panama, there is a liberty of identity. But if you don't know that, you will cut your hair, you will do whatever they say because they are the principal of the school. Even the principal of the school, they don't know about those laws, about those rules or anything. So that's why I have to go to my son's school like 6 years ago to talk to the principal, and he was bragging that he has 12 years of experience as a principal of the school. But I explained to him that he was just showing that he had no experience in a case like that because he was doing exactly all the contrast of what the law said about it. Not me because I'm his dad, but about the law. So he ignored the Defensoría del Pueblo sent actually a letter to him, and I gave it to him, but he basically ignored the note. So when they called me, I told them that they ignored the note, so they went straight to the school, talked to him, talk about the first girl in the state that went to the first black girl who went to the white school. He was talking about that history. He was talking about a lot of things that that principal didn't know about. So at the end of the day, my son was in the school with one rose and only one dreadlocks and a shield in the top of the logs. Also, my stepson, this year, I went to his school. I talked to the direct, to the principal, and everybody. I went to the little book of the Constitution of Panama, the article, the letters, and everything that they have no idea. And one of the teachers told me, like, what are we gonna do when the parents of other kids ask for this situation? So I told her that is gonna be your opportunity to teach and let them
Exactly.
know that there is a law that defend our kids. So we are a black and we are going to be black until the end of our days. We are not black only in May, only in May.
Exactly, exactly. For those of you who don't know, May is Etnia Negra, which is Black History in Panama, because some people don't know what May is, what happens in May. Lex Herson says the lock stigma here in the U.S. is sad. They just passed a policy allowing locks in the government workplace. Keep your locks. He's telling you to keep your locks. Natalie Best said, good evening from Barbados, where 95% are black and we still have issues with our hair. And that's sad, being from Barbados and everyone's black and they still have an issue with hair, especially black hair. We are allowed to wear locks in school and workplace. I have a question, and this is going to be a question that everyone is dying to know. And coming from a black man, because I had made a comment, I made this comment a couple of times, and people really tried to chew my head off, right? One of the observations that I've noticed here in Panama with black men, and again, it's not all black men, okay? It's not all black men, okay? But one of the things that I've noticed with majority of the black men here in Panama is that they like white women. Why is that?
Well,
Honestly, you're the first person that I've ever met here. Okay, let me not say the first. You're probably one of 3 black men here in Panama that I've ever met that actually date other black women.
all right. Okay, well, I cannot talk to, about others because I don't know what happened in their situation, okay, in their cases. But in my case, well, being honest with you, okay, before, right, many years ago, I was not dating any white girl or polita or whatever you want to call it because I didn't want problem with their dads because sometimes they racist and they one time one of my ex her father right pull a gun to me because I was just talking to her in the living room. He was drunk and I was scared to death. So I went away and that day I said, you know what? I'm not dating no polita, no white girl, none of that. So I started dating my black women and and then I stopped dating black women because I was like, oh, black women are paradise. But what happened is that doesn't I realized that doesn't have to do anything with the color of the person, but with the heart. It could be a black woman, it could be very beautiful, but if we do not match the mentality or philosophy of life, at the end of the day, it's gonna end up because our philosophy is different. But if you're dating a white girl or an indigenous girl, but she has the same mentality, you can go ahead and work with her even though she's not a black woman. You know what I mean? So to me right now it's not important the color of the skin, but what the person have in her heart.
Well, what I mean per se is that, listen, a person can date and be with whoever they choose to be with. That's not the problem. The problem is for me as a black person, for me to discriminate against another black person, that's when I have an issue. Like, you can say, oh, I date anybody, it doesn't matter the color of their skin. But when a person says, no, 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 I don't like black women, I don't want to be with a black woman, and you're black, that's really when I have an issue. So I think for a black man to say that he won't and will not date a black woman, that to me is self-hate, my personal opinion. And so I noticed that in Panama, and I figured because you are a black man and you probably have friends that are black, you'd be able to answer the question not from your personal point of view, but from the point of view of others.
Okay. Yes, that what you just mentioned about black people against black people is because when somebody said something like that, I definitely know that that person does not know their history. They don't know about anything about Mansa Musa. They don't know anything about Marcus Garvey. They don't know anything about Martin Luther King. They don't know anything about Chiba. They don't know anything about Black history. That's why they don't feel Black, because for more than 500 years, 580 years, most likely, right? So they have been teaching us that everything that is Black is bad. So
Correct.
they have that in their mentality. So they don't want to be Black because they don't even know that Black is beautiful.
But why is it, you see, and you said that people don't know their history, but why is it in Panama people don't teach that? Why isn't that part of the curriculum? Why is Black history not a part of the curriculum? The only thing that is part of the curriculum here that I've noticed, because my son is in a private school, is just talk about Spain and Christopher Columbus.
Mhm. Yeah, because
Why isn't that taught?
that's the fake history, you know? That's what they teach in school. But nowadays, we're working hard actually in giving this Black history in Panama schools. There is a project actually right now in the country. We were invited like a month ago to participate and give ideas of how we can actually encourage and teach the Black history in different subjects in Panamanian school. We can talk about, if we talk about music, we can talk about the Black contribution in the music. If we talk about religion, we can talk about everything, because everything, all the prophet, everything comes directly from Africa, which is the motherland. So it doesn't matter the subject that we teach, we can include Black history. So that's what they're trying to do at this time, but they haven't finished yet. It's like on the second stage.
Okay, well, I'm surprised that it has been taking, it took this long for them to actually do that, but at least they're starting from somewhere. Amazing Oski says the problem with the Panamanian culture is that they want to deny our Afro culture. This new celebration of Etnia Negra is just a trend, not really honoring the Black culture of Panama. What do you think about that? Do you think that's true?
Well, actually, they want to deny the Afro culture because if we don't defend ourselves, okay, and they put us aside, and we stay in that corner, we will stay in that corner. Nobody is going to call us to participate of the party. We need to realize that we are a really important part of this country, because all the contribution that we have made in Panama, okay, starting the first time when the gold fever in California in 1848 to 1855, a lot of workers came to the country from variety of countries, from United States, Europe, West Indies, even many enslaved Africans were here for the railroad. But a lot of people they don't know that. Okay,
They
and
don't.
they don't know.
They only really talk, they don't really even talk about the railroad, the building of the railroad. Mostly when you hear about any contributions from Black people, they just usually just talk about the canal, and they only talk about the canal after they talk about the Americans and the French people. But they never really talk about the Black contribution with the railroad. Why do you think that is?
Why? Because they trying to wipe out history.
You know what's so crazy? Martinelli was promoting a restaurant in Casco Viejo, and the restaurant looked nice, but it was talking about how the restaurant was paying tribute to the different cultures that built the canal. There was the Spanish, there was the French, and there was people from the United States. So I turned to my father, I said, but what about the Black people? What happened to the Black people? Why aren't they represented in this restaurant in Casco Viejo? So the fact that it's 2022 and we are still having this conversation where they are neglecting the history, the true history of Panama, it's kind of like bothersome, and it's refreshing to hear you talk about it, to let people know exactly what Panama is really about and what Panama culture is, because I don't think a lot of people know that. Like, people, when they think about Panama, they forget about Afro-Panamanians. They have this vision of what Black people are, and they have a vision of, I'm sorry, of what Panamanians are, and it's usually not what, it doesn't contain or include Afro-Panamanians. Renee All Day says, I'm getting activist civil rights vibes. For me, this is amazing. We as Black people need more of this. Knowing is power, and you exude mental power. Look at you, Nibby. You are getting all your flowers today. I am says, do you know if there is inequality of salary depending on the color of your skin? That's actually a good question.
Well, actually, that doesn't exist. Just, I mean, if you're working in a place, you won't be paying less because you're Black. It doesn't work like that.
So they don't pay you less because of the color of your skin. Um, I know my video is pausing because my internet is not working properly, and Cableonda, aka Tigo, was supposed to come today and they didn't show up. Typical behavior. So that's why my video is pausing. Sorry, guys. Um, Renee All Day preaching truth. Know your history. Nadine Babe says, no disrespect to Christians, but these discriminatory cases are rooted in Christianity. I've seen many cases, numerous countries, including USA. Islamophobia is brutal too.
Yeah.
When you say Christianity, I think, well, I'm gonna just be very honest with you. When it comes to religion, people have a tendency of using religion to manipulate people. Everybody knows that. They always say the way they were able to manipulate the slaves and to even capture the slaves to come to the New World is through religion. If you even go to some churches, you will see the pastors manipulating the congregation through religion to get money out of people. That's why I always say that I am not a religious person, but more of a spiritual person.
Yes.
Your relationship with God is something personal between you and God. I don't necessarily believe that I have to go to church every single day to feel like I am a better religious person than the other person, because there's plenty of people that go to church just to go to church. There are people that go to church, preach one thing, and then behind closed doors they're doing something else. There are people that are preaching the word of God, supposedly from whatever the Bible's saying, and manipulating it to fit whatever narrative they want to push. So that is my personal opinion. I get what she's saying. I get what Bedina Babe said about Christianity. I agree with you, but I don't only think it's only Christians. I think in the name of religion, period, there are people that use religion to manipulate people just to get what they want, or to get things from out of people. So that's just my opinion. I do understand where you're coming from, though. I am says, how big is the Afro-Panamanian Museum in Panama? Oh my God, it's a disgrace if you ask me. But go ahead, Nibby.
Yeah, it's a little
Thank you.
place. It's a little place in the middle of the city. It's not that big, but there you can find very interesting book if you want to learn something or reinforce your knowledge. You will find very nice book there in Spanish and English as well.
Let's see. Yeah, it is very, very small, and I feel like it's disrespectful to have such a small museum. And even when you go to the Bio Museum, I feel like the section that they have about Afro-Panamanian is really, really small too. That's just my opinion, but people always telling me that I'm prejudiced, and I'm not prejudiced. I just am a truth speaker. Okay? People always get mad when you tell the truth. I had one lady comment in my comment section saying that, "Oh, you're not doing anything you're not doing anything constructive for Panama." Of course, she was at Blanca, and I'm like, girl, because I'm telling the truth about what happened. Oh, I'm not doing anything positive for Panama. My objective like I said, always say before, I grew up going to Cologne, not in the city, so I don't really know city life, just basically what I know here. And the culture in Cologne is a little bit different, well, much different from the culture here in Panama, especially when it comes to blackness. It's completely different. And one of the things that I've noticed here is that there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of educated people, a lot of talented Black Afro-Panamanian people here, but they don't get the platform to be able to showcase who they are. Why? Because they're so busy trying to push a certain look of what representation of Panama should be. So my goal is to be able to um, have that platform to be able to introduce other Afro-Panamanian people so that people are able to know who they are, what they are about. And I'm going to continue doing that regardless of who has a problem with it, because it seems like the people who have the most problems with it are people that is not of color. Let's see. Let's go back to the comments. Alexis S says the French shrine for the builders. Badinda Babe said yes to the mental power. Natalie Best says my great grandfather on both my mother and father's side went to Panama, and it cut off.
Yes.
I don't know what happened there. Amazing Oski says preach girl. Renee All Day says yes. Oh, you made it to the live. Hey, Dev. He says Panama wouldn't be nearly as fun without the African influence. Afro-colonials and Afro-Caribbeans brought the spice to Panama.
Yes.
Natalie Best says, my great grandfather on both my mother and father's side went to Panama to help build the canal. Okay. I'm not sure if the train line also. Jen said it's depressing. I guess they're having like their own conversations in the comment section. That's why. Alexis S says, my thing is mainstream religion tells you when you die, you dead. But every other culture worships their ancestors. Ancestors give you strength to overcome, which is why they tried to block it. Dev 04 says, amen. Natalie Best says, I want to meet some of my Panamanian family someday. Where are you from, Natalie? Well, like, are you in the States? Oh, no, I think this is the lady that says she's from Barbados.
Yeah. So she's for Barbados. Actually, I wanted to say that most of the people that were brought to Panama to work in the French Canal were from Barbados. Actually, they celebrate the Panama Day in Barbados, if I'm not mistaken. So
They do.
most of the people were from Barbados. So yeah.
Lex Herson says, is Panama a family-oriented country? I would say so. In my opinion, I see family is pushed. That's one thing that I would say about Panama, that family is pushed a lot here. Unlike in the States, they really push for broken families, and they use government assistant programs in order to break up families. Like, and you wouldn't know this, so I'm going to explain it to you. For people who don't live in the States and they're watching and then they live in Panama. In the United States, there's something called welfare. My mother used to call it welfare in Spanish. And it's basically government assistance. And what they do is, if you make a certain amount of money, like for example, let's say if you want an apartment, right? And the apartment is called, the apartment costs $3,000. No, let's say it costs $3,000. They will give you a stipend for that money, but you have to make a certain amount of money in order for them to give you that stipend. You can't make over that amount. And everybody knows that rent in the States is ridiculous. You could be paying $3,000 a month for a one-bedroom apartment. So it's really like ridiculous. So I know people, and I don't even, well, it's not me who's doing it, so I don't care. Well, that in order for them to have an apartment, they would have to leave their husband or significant other off of the lease in order to be able to keep paying that amount of rent. Because if they find out that you are married or if you have a significant other, they will no longer give you that stipend. And that is a way to keep the Black family apart. Not only that way, but separating families by putting people in jail unnecessarily. People keep arresting people for petty crimes. There are people who, yes, deserve to be in jail, but there are people who, like the boy that was in jail for the book bag, and he ended up committing suicide because they said that he stole a book bag, which he didn't steal the book bag, and he was sent to Rikers Island for years before he was able to see a judge. When he finally came out of jail, he ended up killing himself because of the trauma that he experienced in jail. So when people sit up here and talk about, oh, well, black people, they in the States, they do this and they do that. Yes, there are bad people in every single race. But if society keeps on pushing, oh, the black man did this, the black man did that, obviously that's the narrative where people are going to think that black people do X, Y, Z. And that's the narrative that they try to push all the time. But here in Panama, like, I feel like they really are big on family. What do you think, Nibby?
Yes, that's what you mentioned right there. This modern day slavery, you know, they always finding a way to treat us like slave. Nowadays, if you realize, they don't have to wake you, right, to wake you up to send you to work. Now you do it because by yourself. You put the alarm, you set up the alarm, you wake up and go directly to whatever you have to do. It's a modern day slavery. So what do you mention right there? Um, they had a law in the state that it was the Jim Crow law.
Yes, Jim Crow law.
So they're getting profit, right? For more people, more black people they push into the jail, they were getting money.
If they're
So
still doing it, if they're still doing it, if they're
they
still
still
doing it.
doing it, and they still killing us and hunting us like nothing is happening. So that's why it's very sad to see. Well, I'm ready for them, but it's very sad to see that we as black people are not united. So whenever someone like you invited me to participate in something that is related with our culture, with our people, or whatever, I make the time to participate because we need to do more, and we are not doing. If our ancestors get killed, like Martin Luther King, for the thing that he was doing, and nowadays you see that nothing have changed despite of what he did, is like what's going to happen in the future. We are not doing even half of what they were doing, and sometimes I feel that we are not going forward. So
We're
that's
going
why
backwards. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, we need to stick together, work as a team. It doesn't matter your nationality, your name, your last name, or where you're coming from. But as far as you black, we need to stay together as brothers and sisters.
Amazing Oski says, can you imagine Panamanian food without ají chombo? Boring. Renee says, "V girl, you are wise beyond your years." Thank you so much. Many woke people cherish cologne. Everyone is putting up fists in the comments. Dev says 100%. IMCs, it appears to me that most Panamanian artists are recognized and valued by Panama only when the artists are successful overseas.
Yeah.
I wish I could like this 100 times. And I had a conversation, and it's not only artists, okay? And this is why I say this. There was a girl that was representing Panama. I think she was either a swimmer or a runner. I don't remember what she was. And she was representing Panama in the Olympics. She wasn't born in Panama. Her father her mother is Panamanian and the father is Black American. And then they interviewed her here, and they had this big old thing saying, "Oh, Panamanian swimmer or runner athlete. Let's just say athlete. She's representing Panama." Everybody was so happy, but to me, I find it like this. It's like you only cherishing this girl because she made it this far. If it was somebody else who was not born in Panama and just had one parent that was Panamanian, they would have been criticizing her. That's just my opinion. But because she was going to the Olympics and she happened to be Black, that's the only reason why they were pushing her. Now, as far as the artists are concerned, I do agree with IM that most Panamanians are only recognized and valued by Panama only when the artist is successful overseas. I remember when Setch first started, nobody really was paying him any mind. Even though he was really talented, he had a really good voice. But now that he's made it big with all these people, not everybody's like, "Oh, Setch this, Setch that." So I totally agree. Maybe do you want to say something
Yes.
about that?
Yes, that's totally true, and that's how live it is. Not only with artists, not only in this topic is like it is. You know, if you're not making it, you're struggling by yourself. Nobody, I mean, nobody's gonna be shouting you out for that, right? But when you make it, everybody's gonna be around you. So that's basically what happened in life. So it happened with artists, it happened with professionals in other fields. It happened everywhere. So that's how life it is. So you need to make sure who is with you in your bad, in your good.
Good.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, exactly. So that if you're with me in the bad, that person have to be with you in the good times. If you are not with me in the bad times, I'm sorry, but I will just share with the people who suffer with me. That's
Yes. I believe you. I'm with you 100%. Dev says there are brighter days ahead for Kalong. The potential is there. You might want to tune into next Tuesday's live. We're definitely diving deep with Kalong. Nigel Harry said, hey, don't forget Trinidadians help. Yes, we know Trinidadians help, Jamaicans help, Bayesian people help. There's, what's the name?
you know,
Guadeloupe, people from Guadeloupe also. So yes, thanks for your extensive reply. Is child support a big thing in Panama? Yes, child support is a big thing in Panama. You're a man, so I'm gonna let you answer that question.
all right. Yeah, so, I mean, it's not gonna be that expensive like in the States because it's gonna be depends of how much you're getting monthly, right? So they will see how much they are the expenses versus your salary, and they will determine how much you have to pay monthly for child support.
They call it pension. They don't call it child support. They call it pension. I just don't think that women, a lot of women, like in the States, people are quick to take you to court for child support. Like women are not gonna, they're not playing. They are like, no, I'm going to get my child support. But I don't think here women really, um, like the women that I know, I can't speak for everyone. They aren't really like pressed to go take anybody to the court for child support if that's what you're asking. But child support is really a thing here. They don't play about kids here in Panama. Children are like angels. They think children are angels. So you mess with a child in Panama, you going down. Nigel Harry said, I would love to move to Panama one day. That I want to ask you this. How do you feel when you read comments from people outside saying that they want to move to Panama and they want to live in Panama?
Well, honestly, in Panama, if you have money, I mean, you don't want to go to any other place. You can have a very beautiful beach in the Caribbean side, in Colon or Bocas. I mean, you don't need to go any other place to live. But if you don't have the money, right, that's gonna be a different thing.
How do you feel when you hear American people? Because you know everybody is always saying like, "Oh, America is the place to be. America this, America that." How do you feel when you see Americans moving into Panama?
Well, I would do exactly the same, honestly, because I had this conversation with my wife a couple of months ago. She wanted us to move to the States because most of her family is there and stuff. And every single time that when she was saying something, I was I'm following a page of news in the States, all the madness that happened. And when she mentioned that to me, I showed her, oh, look, this happened today. Oh, this happened the day after tomorrow. Oh, this happened this week. Are you sure that you want to go there with our kids to live there? You don't know what's going to happen in shooting in the school, in the movies. And I mean, I'm not saying that in Panama there are no shootings, but when there are shootings, there are the gangsters shooting each other or the police with the gangsters. Not everybody, not some person with an MK-47 shooting people in the movie theater. So I mean, I wouldn't like to be. I mean, I really really understand people who live in the state and say, you know what, I'm gonna move from there because honestly, I want to go there. I mean, just to visit maybe certain places, but not to live.
Yeah, yeah, I understand exactly where you're coming from. Nigel Harry says, "I love your show." Thank you, Nigel. Dev04, sorry, says, lots of haters in Panama. Unfortunately, local talent is not given an opportunity. Brooklyn NYTY says, yes, you can go to jail still, but the amount is minimal. Most women don't even bother. Um, Nigel Harry said, my great grandfather worked in the Panama Canal. Where are you from, Nigel?
Trinidad, I think this is with Trinidad.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
I said Brooklyn. I don't know. The BRKL says if the father can't support, they put the burden on the grandparents. That is very true. I know grandparents that's paying child support for their child, so for their grandkids. Morris Campbell said, yes, amazing. I don't know what he was talking to. Morris Campbell says, that is legacy of a system designed to put us down and ourselves for being accomplices. And you know something? I know a lot of Panamanian people that moved to the States and they're in the same situation that they was in Panama. They just literally living off the government. They're living off the government, but they're still living in barrios. So to me, it's like, why would you leave Panama to go to the States and still live the same life that you were living in Panama? To me, it doesn't make sense. But
Just
I
to say that
guess,
there are mistakes.
I guess so. She is a sprint runner. Thank you for the correction, Morris. Alex S. says, it's a lot of Black Americans retiring to Panama. There should be an effort to build a bridge with them. A lot of talent coming with free days to assist when trying to get Cologne back on the map. All right, I have a thing I wanted to actually address this. I'm not going to say anyone's name in particular, but I don't think that Black Americans, and I'm not saying all Black Americans, I'm talking about expats as a whole. When I say expats, I mean people that are from the States and they move to Panama. I don't think a lot of people really care to get to know local people. I don't think they really care to know the struggles of the people. I think we as Americans, and I say we because I'm including myself, even though I'm Panamera, I call myself La Gringa Panameña because I'm both, right? I don't think that I think people come to Panama because they just want this better life and they don't really care about what's going on around them. They don't really care. I know people that move to Panama and they don't even watch Panama news. They don't know what's going on in Panama because they don't care to know. They're living in their bubble. And again, this is not everybody, but they live in this bubble and they don't really care to know local people. They don't really care to know about local talent. They don't really care because at the end of the day, they're living the luxurious life that they want to live without worrying about the people that actually live there. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I think the reason why I advocate so much for Afro-Panamanian is because this is my culture. My family is from Cologne. My mom, my cousins, everyone is from Panama. So I guess for me, I guess I'm kind of different because I'm not Black American per se. And so that's why I have so much of a passion for Panamanian culture, Afro-Panamanian, and why I do what I do. So that's just my opinion. Have you ever met any Black Americans that try to extend themselves to you, Nibby?
Say the question one more time. You were breaking up.
Have you ever met any Black Americans that try to reach out to you, like to get to know you, to be friends with you, to know about you and your struggles?
Not really.
Exactly.
They come. I mean, like you said, like we will find different cases. There are people that come here and they get involved with the culture, the places, the language, the food, everything. And there are other people that they just here because it's cheaper for them. So they're having the life here that they cannot have right there. With the retirement check, it's gonna be good enough here to do a lot of things. And the retirement check in the state, they cannot do anything basically, or just pay certain bills and stuff, and that's it.
There you have it. I hope that answers your question. It's not that they aren't appreciated, but there aren't much Panamanian artists that have become big outside of Sech Flex and much more, and not much comes to mind. El General, he was a big artist that made it overseas. There are other artists that traveled to the States, but those people, they were like old school artists, but they never like got Grammys or anything. So I guess that's what you mean. Alexis S says, "What do you think attracts Black Americans to Panama specifically?"
Well, if you ask me about Black Americans, I would say that they come in here because he's more secure being here as a Black person than in the States. Even though there are racism here, because I have experienced it, but it's not that they're gonna shoot you because you're Black, just like that. They're not gonna shoot because you're Black. They will stop you. They will see what you have in the bag or whatever that piss you off as well, because everybody is passing through, but you need to be pulled over. I mean, that's something that I can manage. I don't like it, but I can manage it. But I cannot manage a police coming to me just shooting because I'm Black or whatever. So that's a
Exactly.
different thing. So those kinds of things does not happen in Panama.
Um, BRK says, I disagree. Such was loved by Panamanians, but again, there aren't much Panamanian stars that help each other out, help put each other on. This, I wish I could like this a million times. I wish I could like it because this is 100% true. There's like really no support amongst artists themselves. Like even from an outsider, I'm an outsider, guys. Okay, I'm an outsider. Sadly, I am what I'm considered an outsider. And when I started my channel and I wanted to get certain people on the channel, they didn't pay me no mind. Okay, I know a guy that has a Caribbean magazine. It's a really big magazine, and he has like a lot of Jamaican artists. And the purpose of his magazine is to unite all Caribbean cultures, right? And he asked me, he was like, "Yo, I really want to get a Panamanian artist on the cover of the magazine." So I'm like, oh, okay. And he had really big people. He had Bounty Killer, Vibes Cartel. If you're from Trinidad, Marshall Montano, Patrice. Like he had Dexter Dap. Like there's a lot of famous people that was on the cover of the magazine. And he said to me, since you are the person that can intercede, I want to get a Panamanian artist. Do you know that I asked a certain Panamanian artist, okay, to be a part of this magazine, and he said first he said yes, but then he said the manager said no, and I'm saying to myself, wow. Wow, why didn't he want to do the magazine? Why? Why didn't he have the magazine? This is an opportunity for you to grow your brand. But unfortunately, people are blinded by what they think opportunity is. He decided that he did not want to be a part of the magazine, which is fine because we have a lot of other big name artists from the Caribbeans that are have spreads on the magazine, and this is why I feel like Panamanian artists don't go anywhere, or they don't go anywhere as fast as they should, because they limit themselves on their opportunity based on what they have in their mind, unfortunately. So
And also what happened is that a lot of Panamanian artists, they are just copying the rhythm to somebody else in Jamaica, and whenever they go abroad, the copyright don't allow them to use those rhythm and stuff. So that's why they cannot go abroad like other artists.
mm,
Their own rhythms, their own music. That's somebody else rhythm. So you can, make it big here in Panama, but it's not gonna be that big because Panama is a very small country.
but
So
the particular artist that I'm talking about, he didn't have any songs that was a Jamaican artist. It wasn't copywritten. Like he has like he has his own producer. This artist that I'm talking about has his own producer. He doesn't even, like, he's really a good artist, and I feel like he could go far, but ego is what is stopping him from the level of success that he should reach. Because I think people feel like because you're big only in Panama, that's it. Being big in Panama doesn't mean anything. Okay, Panama's a small country. You got to be able to push yourself out the limits and get to know other people and get to know other cultures, because there's a world that's outside of Panama. And I think a lot of people, they like agrandar porque, why am I going to start talking Spanish? Because they are here in Panama and they're big in Panama, so they feel like they're better than people. That's just what I experienced with artists here in Panama. Morris Campbell said the reason of many Panamanian rappers is because they are not serious nor have discipline to push their career. All they want to do is be featured and chill out.
exactly. So they think here that they famous and that's good enough. Being famous in
Yes.
Panama means nothing. In the state, you can be famous and you get rich for that, but here you get famous and that's it.
I don't know. They're arguing in the comments. Somebody said lies. America is a third world country with a Gucci belt on. I don't know what is going on there. Morris Campbell says, "Oh wait, what's going on?" He says Panama is a rich country with a lot of poor people, with a government that is complete disgrace. They could not even get the basic services right. Shaking my head.
Yes, I agree. What happened is that the Panama Canal is the most important source of the economy in Panama, generating more than $110 million yearly without the new locks. All right, and the new locks, every ship that passed by, the cheapest one paid $250. Right, the cheapest one. Okay, so you can imagine how much the country is getting for the Panama Canal, but unfortunately, no black people is getting profit or benefit of this money because Panama should look like a little Switzerland or something, you know? Garbage in the streets. I'm not saying that the whole country is full of garbage everywhere, but there are some places that it seems like we have no government because the money goes specifically only to one side. Rich people are the one managing all those profits, and black people, I mean, poor people are getting poorer every single time, and rich is getting richer, and that's it. That's what happened.
Brooklyn says, born and raised there, but at the same time, Panama has a higher crime rate than U.S. because of its ratio of population and of crime. I don't know about that. I mean, I get it, but I feel a lot safer here than I do in the, like he said, like I don't think that someone's gonna go into my son's school and start shooting up.
No, it's
Like
gonna.
that's not gonna happen. I don't feel like I could go to the movie theater. I don't think anyone's gonna go in the movie theater and like start shooting up. You gotta specify the crimes because here they do a lot of petty crimes versus the crimes like in the States where they're cutting people up and chopping them up and putting them in the refrigerator. So just to put that out there. Dev 04 says, I remember when Sech was sued by two fellow Panamanian rappers for stolen content. Instead of supporting their fellow talent, reprehensible behavior. Born in Trinidad, grew up in Los Angeles. There's a lot of comments coming in, guys. Yes, they live in a bubble like, see, this is what I'm saying. That's why, yeah, okay. In the language, it's the language barrier, but we got to build a bridge. Trust me, put together, they will come. And you know what? I wanted to save this before, but one of the things that I want to do is I want to have an event where it's kind of like a mixer where we're mixing Afro-Panamanians, local Panamanians with Black Americans. That's one of the events. I'm not gonna give too much details, but if you are part of the website, if you are on my website, or if you signed up at the website for your email address, then you would see, then you'll get the information later on as time passes. But I'm definitely trying to bridge that gap, and I definitely have plans to have an event where, because there are people that actually want to help out, they want to contribute, they just don't want to come and take away from the country, and that's one of the things that annoy me. I hate when people come to Panama to live to Panama, but they don't contribute anything back to the country. They don't contribute anything back to the people. I think if you're gonna be here, at least support some way. You understand what I'm saying? Give back. So that's something that that I plan on doing in the future. Maybe someday you can do a video on the Afro community in Archipelago de las Perlas. The special Afro. Okay, so the reason why I'm gonna answer this question. The reason why I'm not able to do as much is because things cost money, right? For me to be able to travel to do these videos, I have to hire a team, someone to come with me to help me. B, I have to be able to pay for transportation and I have to pay for stays to go to these places. And for me, I have two kids And right now the economy is really crazy. So I don't have the funding like that to be able to travel all over the world. I mean, not all over the world, all over Panama, to give you that type of content. I don't have a huge following. I have what, like 5,000 people on my channel, and that's the reason why I can't do all those videos that you want me to do. I would love to do it, but I don't have A, the financial backing to do that, B, I don't have the equipment, and 3, I don't have the staff. One of my goals is, I don't know if you guys had a chance to listen to the podcast, but I did say that once I'm able to start my media company, I do want to employ other Panamanians and other Panamanian creatives, to give them the opportunity. So that is also one of my goals. But I love when you guys give me suggestions, but unfortunately, sometimes the suggestions that you give, I can't do it right now. I don't have the financial backing, and I don't have the manpower to do it, unfortunately. So, someone says, I will help you. Nigel, you'll help me? Email me and tell me how you'll help me. Event will be nice. Morris Campbell says, VGIRL, I think there's a website for Black expats. I'm not sure the name of it. I understand. And next year you will, Ashe. Thank you. I'm gonna actually end live now. Thank you so much. Let me show you guys what's happening next week. Oh my God, I almost forgot. So for those of you, we're going back to our lives on Tuesday. The only reason why we did a live today is because Nibby could not, he had to go to work. So that's the reason why. But I do want to show you who's coming on next week, which is actually going to be for those of you who are always talking about or have questions about Cologne. We're having next week, Tuesdays live at the same time. This is the flyer, Taking Back Cologne live stream with Delano Sankofa Dobson. He is running for Representante Independiente, from Cologne. Why do I keep on doing that? From Cologne. And if you guys know about independent runners, people that run independent usually do not win because they don't have the backing, the financial backing, unfortunately, but we want to change that narrative. So for those of you who always have questions about Cologne and want to know about Cologne, thank you, Alex S., for the donation. For those of you who want to know about Cologne, and if you have any questions, save your questions for next week, Tuesday. Nippy, they want to know if you have Instagram.
Yes, my Instagram is RAS.
Type it in the, you can't, I don't think you, type it in the comment section so they can see it.
Give me a second. I don't remember that by heart. Let me just go ahead and put it there. And talking about Cologne, I will ask him if you think to change the name of the province, because we already know who was Cologne, right? So
I don't think people know that. I don't think people know the story. I don't think the people know the story of Cologne. Nibby, put your comment, your Instagram, so that people can follow you in the comment section. I want to thank every single person that tune into my lives every week. I want to thank every single person that either donates to the channel, because every time you give a donation to the channel, you actually help with something else to contribute to making the channel bigger, so I'm able to fund things in the future. So I don't think you guys know that. So I do appreciate it. In the public chat, let me see if I could comment. I'm gonna copy and paste it and put it in the public chat for everybody.
I didn't see it.
Here it is. This is his Instagram, guys. That's his Instagram, so you can follow him on social media. I think Nibby is very knowledgeable about Afro-Panamanian culture, and the event that I plan on having next year, he's definitely going to be a part of it. He doesn't know it yet, but he's definitely going to be a part of it.
Thank you for the
He's definitely going to be a part of it. You welcome, everybody, and thank you. See you on Tuesday, next week, Tuesday. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Nibby, for coming through. I appreciate it. And see you guys. Yes, see you guys next week. I'm trying to. Okay, here we go.